Hi everyone, this is Kai Oshiro from Simply Digital, your digital dentistry experts. We're here today to talk about one of our favorite digital dentistry workflows, and that's 3D printed night guards. The beautiful thing about 3D printing night guards is not only can you have it completed the same day where you're going from scanning the patient, designing, 3D printing, and post-processing within a couple of hours, but during the design phase, you can actually consider and plan for how do you want that opposing jaw to sit against that night guard. Do you want a standard flat plane where you're just providing nice support for that bite? Or do you want to provide anterior guidance for that lower jaw to move around and have a little bit more comfort for that patient when they're sleeping? But it's those design considerations that's really going to make this night guard work well for you and be a home run. Stand by and we'll get right into the production. So once the scan has been completed, we'll take those STL files and we're going to import it into D3Splint. The thing I love most about D3Splint is not only is it affordable, but the two doctors that created it, Dr. Patrick Moore and Dr. Kevin Yoder, they designed this custom digital articulator. And that digital articulator is going to go ahead and align the jaw and move that lower jaw in its natural envelope movements to create that opposing jaw ramp. Once the digital articulator is all set, it's going to create the model, and then we're going to go ahead and start designing the splint outline. From here, we're doing a straight flat across cut for the splint. Alternatively, you can actually scallop it and go up to margin if that's the look and feel you prefer, but most of our clients likes a straight cut splint. What we're going to go ahead and we're going to finish the splint outline, and then from here, we're going to go ahead and mark the interior portion of the splint, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to create the splint shell, and then we're going to mark the points for the wax rim. This yellow line is going to be the outside part of the wax rim, and this pink line is going to be the interior edge of the wax rim. Now what we're going to do is we're going to clean up this wax rim lines to make sure it looks nice and it's nice and balanced, and we don't have any lines that are too far off. As you can tell, the shell splint and the wax rim was created. We can also increase or decrease the rim flare depending if the patient's jaw moves naturally up or down. Now the rim is done, we're going to go ahead and fuse it together, and we're going to start to create the posterior occlusal contact points. Now what this is going to do is it's going to delete all the information below this red occlusal plane, and that's going to make it so that the posterior contacts will be nice and light and not too deep. We're also going to bring down the anterior teeth section or part of the occlusal plane so that it'll give you a resting point. If you want a ramp, we're going to go ahead and delete this section in front of it. If you don't want a ramp, you don't have to do this part. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to finish the splint up. As you can see that the ramp is right over there. We're just cleaning it up, grinding MIP. Now this is the best part that I love about the D3Splint. It's going to give us an occlusal color map so we can see exactly how much of those opposing jaw cusp is touching the night guard. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to soften it so it's just a light touch and it's not in too deep. We're also going to smooth out those contact points so that it can move around a lot more freely. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put on our support ribbon so that we can print our splint at 50 degrees so that we don't need any support going into that occlusal surface, which will go ahead and ruin, of course, all that ramp that we built. There's our beautiful splint, and it's done. In real time, it takes about 10 to 15 minutes. From there, we're going to export that profile straight into your slicer. For this, we're using a Sega Composer. We're just going to go ahead and set it up and hit print. It takes about 2 hours using KeySplint Soft at 100 microns. One of the things to make sure is when you're going and you're doing your slice, you always want to look to make sure that it took on the first level. Now we just hit print on the printer and it's done. Once it's done, we're going to go ahead and we're going to clip off that ramp. And then we're going to deburr any of those hard edges. And then from here, we're going to start with our post-production cleaning, and we're going to go ahead and use some pumice, and we're just going to polish the outside of the splint. We're using 3 different grades of pumice. We're using coarse, medium, and fine, and we do about 3 to 5 passes per grain to get it nice and smooth the way that we like it. Now we can go ahead and deliver to the patient. But before we do, I want to show you guys one thing. This is the night guard that has the flat plane with the opposing supports for that opposing jaw. But also too, we could have done it with that anterior ramp for that opposing jaw like I mentioned. And the really cool thing is it's going to provide that support for that jaw to move
forward and back and laterally. And that is the best part about doing a digital dentistry workflow, is you as the clinician can pick and choose how do you want that appliance to work for that specific customer. You don't have to just pick something generic that the lab gives you or something that you vacuum form. You can actually make that guidance specific for that patient need. If you'd like to learn more, you can go to our website where you can either sign up for our next in-person or virtual workshop, or we can design and fabricate a night guard for you directly.